I threw a ball versus a ball was thrown by me. What's the difference? While they both might mean the same thing, the impact it has on the reader is different. That's because one is in active voice and one is in passive voice. In this video, we're going to be talking about what active and passive voice is and when it's appropriate to use each one. Before we get started on that though, I want to make it clear that neither one, active nor passive, is better than the other. And contrary to popular belief, it's okay to write in passive voice. In fact, there are certain circumstances where passive voice might actually be preferable to active voice, and obviously vice versa. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into this video. Active voice is when a subject is performing an action. You might also see this defined as when a subject is acting upon an object. In a sentence in active voice, the subject is the sentence's main focus. In the example given earlier, the version of it that said, I threw a ball, is an active voice. I being the subject, throwing being the verb, and the ball being what is acted upon. This might also be referred to as the target of action. Active voice is very simple and straightforward. Subject, predicate, yada yada. Active voice is used quite widely, but I'll just name a few places where they might pop up. It's used by almost all authors of opinion pieces. This is a subtle thing they do to make them sound more sure of themselves and to persuade others. Active voice is also something you'll see in books and stories, whether they be fiction or nonfiction. This is because when you're trying to tell a story, you want to keep readers in the action, you want to keep them engaged. Lastly, it's something that pops up a lot in politics, especially in ad campaigns or things along the lines of, if you vote me into office, I will do this. Those are all going to be an active voice because, again, the politicians want to sound sure of themselves. They want to be persuasive and convincing because they want you to vote for them. When using passive voice, the subject is being acted on by the verb. In these sentences, the target of the action becomes the focus of the sentence. In the example given earlier, the version of it that said, a ball was thrown by me, is in passive voice. Generally, sentences in passive voice will have two verbs, a conjugative form of to be, such as is or was, and the main verb in past tense. And while a good number of passive voice sentences will have a preposition, not all of them will. An example of this is, he will be remembered. This is in passive voice because the subject is not actively remembering him. The active voice version of this would be, I will remember him. Passive voice has a subtler tone than active voice does. It is useful in writing when you want an action to be the reader's main focus as opposed to the subject. Passive voice is mainly used in scientific writing such as lab reports. In these cases, the scientist wants what they did to be the reader's main focus. Who performed the actions is not as important. Passive voice is also used a lot by news anchors because it detaches them from the news they're reporting. In our case, we might use passive voice in an essay because it sounds more intellectual. However, if we use passive voice in the wrong places, it might actually take away from our paper. For example, using passive voice in an argumentative essay might not be the best idea because it would make the essay seem more like a research paper instead of an argumentative one. Basically, be mindful when you use active and passive voice.
I am now going to make a mistake. The coffee is about to be consumed by me. Oh. The act of phasing out of existence is a physically possible feat, as will be demonstrated by me.